Welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to our season finale of the Writer's Bookshelf. And this is episode 16 if you're keeping track of numbers. Maybe the title tells you it's 16. I don't even know. Probably. We are going to do our catch-all book that I promised that we were going to do. This book that we're covering today is called Author in Progress. It's not by any author. It's got a foreword by James Scott Bell, who wrote Just Right that we covered a few weeks ago. Therese Walsh is the editor, but it's from the Writer Unboxed community. Writer Unboxed is a website where writers gather and give, essays, information, all that. It's another resource you have as a writer to learn new tricks and new craft. All the stuff that we never covered in this series, like how to write a strong character, how to write compelling scenes, dialogue, all that. You can probably find all that on this website. But I want to show you the back. This is important. All these names, these are the contributing authors. So what this book is this book is a collection of essays from well-known authors, and it's about whatever topic they want to cover. So like if you want to overcome writer's block, this author will tell you how to do that. If you're struggling with where to find other writers to give your feedback, that's what this section will do. And it's set up to have each section's got these little bullet point endings, so it's sort of like this is where the editor comes in and kind of gives their 2 cents, I think, or no, or is this the same? Oh yeah, no, it's I think it's the editor or one of them, but yeah. Anyway, the way it's set up is each essay has your basic element here. It has everything's got its own subheading, and then it gives you pro tips to remind you, and then it just gives you these little bullet point options. It's really basic stuff, but they're also in sections. Here's a section on improvement. What's great about this book, and this is one of my, I think, in my opinion, one of the most important books you can have on your bookshelf for overview, because again, it covers not just the writing process, but it covers how to be a writer, how to live the life of a writer. I think it deals with agents, maybe. Resignation letters. And what is that about? It's actually an interesting topic. Is it tell you how to write a resignation letter? No, probably not. It's coming to terms with the psychology of resistance. Basically, this is coming back to the concept of do the work. So roughly 20 times a year, I try to quit. This is from Sarah Callender, the author of this particular section, coming to terms with the psychology of resistance. Roughly 20 times a year, I try to quit being a writer. Sometimes I quit for a few hours. Other times, when I'm feeling especially morose and inept, I quit for an entire day. I'm not sure whether the thing requesting my resignation letter is for inside or outside myself. But I am certain it can hijack any artist's creative journey, no matter how skilled or experienced she is. I'm going to repeat that. Any artist, no matter how skilled or experienced. So let's talk about it. Let's also name that force resistance, just as Stephen Pressfield does in his beautiful, inspiring book, The War of Art, which I do have. It's right behind this curtain here. And one of these days we're going to cover that one too, but not this season, obviously. That's an example. It's like that's just one essay of many. This is a 300 plus page book. It's got bios of all the authors in the back, so if you want to find out more about the author, a lot of them have their own individual books, like Stephen James. We covered him earlier in Story Trump Structure. That's him. Say hello, Stephen James. There was one of the articles I just referenced had Victoria Strauss. She's the curator of the Writer Beware website, where if you have any familiarity with the writing circle, you probably have heard of Writer Beware. If you haven't, it's one you're going to want to look into. We're going to cover more about stuff like that, either next season or the season after. A lot of the important people in writing are in this book, and they give you their advice. And there's other books like this. There's a lot of curated type books out there that I think are useful to have. Again, this Author in Progress by the Writer's Unboxed community. And I believe this is another one that you can still find on Barnes & Noble reference shelf today. If you go to the bookstore now, it should be on there. It's not an old book, and it's one that's pretty evergreen. So it's probably gonna be near the bottom of the shelf because I think it's more in the catch-all section. But it's again, it's there for inspiration. It's there for advice on the little things that you forgot about. It's I think it's a good way to sort of go through and just double check that you got everything you needed in the writing process. And it's something that you don't have to read in one sitting. You can jump around. It's a good idea because it's edited, it's curated. It's a good idea to go in the order that they've written because they've curated in a certain direction so that you stay on top of it. But if you think of it like you think of the series, where we started at the beginning with, again, the inspiration, and we're ending with the inspiration. Everything in between is about doing the work. This is kind of curated in the same way. You start in the beginning and you go all the way through the end. You have an actual introduction here by the editor, but at some point you're going to get into the question: do you really need an MFA? The surprise answer is no, you don't. Ever, unless you want to teach at college. In which case, then you do need an MFA. So, I think if you're still struggling after 16 weeks to really get into the mood of writing, this will break it. This will get you in. And just have it on your bookshelf again. You don't need to devote every day to it. But it's there for your reference. It's there if you feel like there's just something you're missing. Go through the index, go through the table of contents, see what they have in there that you can use today. Maybe you just need a reminder of why you even write. Why even write? And that'll give you the answer. So check it out. And as usual, again, just give me feedback on what you think of the book. And then go to Writer Unboxed. Check them out directly on the website. Maybe there's a connection you can make. Maybe you can become part of it. I don't know. I mean, I think the membership is, I don't know if it's a membership or how it works. I haven't really tried it myself. But a lot of the people that we've looked at this season are on here. And so if you like the books, you can get more out of them just from this one book. It's pretty good. So that said, that's the end of our season 1. And just to recap the books that we covered this season, after I scratch my nose for the 10th time tonight. I'm sure that's another ongoing saga, is when he's going to scratch his nose again. We covered Stephen King's On Writing. We covered Anne Lamont's Bird by Bird. We covered Larry Brooks's Story Engineering, Story Physics, and Story Fix. We covered Stephen James's Story Trump Structure. We covered Les Edgerton's Hooked. We covered Lisa Cron's Story Genius. We covered Christopher Vogler's The Writer's Journey. We covered Jessica Brody's Save the Cat Writes a Novel. We covered, number 11 was, I think The Snowflake Method was number 11. Yeah. Snowflake Method and Writing the Scene by the Snowflake Method was with Randy Ingermanson. Number 11. Story by Robert McKee was 12. Just Right by James Scott Bell was 13. Story Grid by Sean Coyne was 14. And then last week we did How Not to Write a Novel by Middlemark, and this one, we covered that last week. Howard Middlemark and Sandra Newman, and of course today we're doing Author in Progress. Those are our 16 for the season. I do hope that you check all of them out. It's going to be a little while before I do season 2 because A, I need to put on a different shirt. B, I need to get some sleep, and C, I have to figure out what I want to be in there because I didn't really cover a lot of the detailed craft. I covered more of just kind of the broad strokes, and I do think that we need to spend some time on the detailed craft. So I have an entire box of books behind me that I haven't read yet, of some detailed stuff like character, dialogue, things like that. So I may want to read through some of those before I commit to it. So I may do those. The other thing I may do is I may do more of the grammatical stuff that we skipped over entirely. So there's a few essentials in grammar. At some point, it may be season 3 or even 4. I'll get into like reference books that you should absolutely have if you're specialized. Things like you may see in the intro video, the visual dictionary. I have the first edition. There's actually 2 editions, but I'll cover dictionaries you should have at some point down the road. That will probably be more of a season 3 or 4 entry. If I don't do specific craft in 2, then I'll do self-publishing stuff in 2, but it'll probably be things focused more on how to develop the interior of your book, like developing a strong character, developing like motivation, dialogue, scenes, and anything I have on the topic of just developing the characters and the stories from the ground up. So that's me, your preview for the future. Again, 2 or 3, it's going to depend on what I think the need is. It's also going to depend on my feedback from the comments, if there is any feedback. Traditionally, my channel, my videos don't get a lot of coverage. I don't know if this will get a lot of views or not, so whether or not I stick to my own plan or I take commenter advice will depend on whether or not I get comments, and whether or not they can sustain a season. So we'll see how that goes, but the hopefully season 2 will cover more of the details of each scene and the characters, and books that cover it down to like more of the college experience. So all right, but definitely by season 3 we're going to get into essentials you should have as a writer in general, like thesauruses, dictionaries, things that I think are highly recommended to have on your bookshelf if you're specialized. So all right, that's it for this season. Thank you for watching it if you did, and if you are literally at the end and you have no idea what this was, go back to the beginning, watch the introduction again. You get a feel for what we were trying to do in this series. Don't forget to like the video if you liked it, subscribe to the channel if you want more like this, do all the things that YouTubers tell you to do, except don't start a cult. It's not worth it. And make sure that ring the bell for notifications. I haven't mentioned that a lot this season, but now I am. Ring the bell. Yeah, if you have things you want to share with the community, you can leave a comment or leave a link to your blog in the comments below. Just make sure you tell us what you're linking us to. If you want to give us an example of what not to write, link us to that. If you found an article that you want to share, link us to that. You can use this, these videos as a way to reach out to other potential writers and share with them what you found that is useful. So do contribute, contribute your ideas, contribute discoveries you've made about books you found that you really like, that you think every writer should have on his bookshelf. And if you have a blog or even a video, link us to it. It's fine. So that said, thanks for sticking with it for this long. Next season I'll have a new cup of coffee and a different shirt maybe, and we'll go from there. So until then, write like there's no tomorrow, and who knows, the way 2020's been going, maybe there won't be. So write strong. Although for 60 weeks in, maybe it's not 2020 anymore. Ooh, that'd be nice. Actually, I think this will end about end of December. Imagine that. Maybe 2020's over. Yay. We'll end on that happy note. We'll probably do season 2 in March, I'm thinking. I think that'll give you some time to catch up on the reading if you haven't already. So anyway, all right. Have a good one. That's plenty for me. See you next time. Bye.